Welcome everybody to the Power of Podcast. My name is Amy Nichols. I am representing Area Agency on Aging and the Campus for Creative Aging, and we are so happy you are here. This session is being recorded. It will go out on our YouTube channel after we are done. So if you do not want to show your face, you can leave your camera off. If you are having a bad hair day, you can leave your camera off. Otherwise, I would love to see your smiling faces. We're a smaller group today, so that's nice. That means we're going to get to do a lot of little individual things. When I get going, if you would be happy and kind enough to mute yourself and unmute yourself when you need to ask a question, feel free. I am not one that gets upset if you stop me. In fact, it gives me a chance to breathe, so feel free. And we also will make use of the chat box, which if you wiggle your controls is usually at the bottom of your screen. And there's a little box that says chat. You click on that and you can type in a message to me specifically or to everyone. The everyone will be the default, and then you click on the everyone and everybody else's name will drop down. Couple of things. If you have any issues at all, you can go ahead and email me at amynichols@areaagencyonaaging.org. I keep my email open while we are sitting here just in case anything happens. And lastly, if we are Zoom bombed, this meeting is going to end immediately and we will reschedule this for another time. Knock on wood. We have not been Zoom bombed on Area Agency yet. We are very, very, very protective of our Zoom links for that reason. And if you don't know what Zoom bombing is, it is when hackers take over and do nasty things on the screen and take over. Like it's just awful. And I don't want anybody to have to see it. So we're just protective. It works that way. We haven't had any problems yet. So let's get going a little bit. So this is me. I am Amy Nichols. I am actually the campus coordinator for the Campus for Creative Aging, which is located right next door to the Area Agency on Aging, but due to COVID is now closed. I am a former educator, and my task with Area Agency and the campus is educational programming for older adults. So I just teach a different clientele, but I got to tell you, the skills are pretty much the same. We are on Facebook at the Campus for Creative Aging. We are on Twitter at the Campus for Creative Aging. And hey, our website is the Campus for Creative Aging. there's some similarities there, right? Let's go to this. You are here for the Power of Podcasts. And here's what we're going to learn about podcasts today. This happens to be a subject that's really close to my heart. I love these things. And I'm going to tell you what is a podcast, where you should find them, why you need to be listening to them. And then we're going to talk about all the types and the genres, because there's a ton of them. We are going to talk about the top podcasts right now, and this changes. But this is as of this moment. I'm going to tell you what I'm listening to and what my children are listening to, which is really interesting. And then I want to know what you guys are listening to or what you want to do. I've heard a couple of you say you already want to do your own podcasts. So I cannot wait to hear what the topics are going to be under those. All right. So what is a podcast? It is literally a combination of the word iPod and broadcast. They were originally made by radio DJs to carry out some interviews, and they would send them to iPods. So that's how it became called a podcast. They've been around for about 10 years in all different ways and shapes and forms, and they waver in popularity, which I think is interesting. Popularity on podcasts has gone way up during COVID, which you would figure, people have a little more time on their hands to listen to podcasts. And I don't know about anybody else, but usually my trouble of why I don't get around to doing something is because I don't have time. Well, I have no excuse now to listen to podcasts. So where am I going to find them? First of all, you can find them on your smartphones. You can, most actual smartphones have a downloaded podcast app, and it looks like this little purple button, if you can see it right there, purple button. Get it out there a little bit. Right there. This is an iPhone. Samsung has one too. I think it's a different color. You can have your friend from Amazon, Alexa, I can't say her name because I have one. And every time I teach and use something with her name in it, she starts talking. So I don't want her to talk, but you know what she is. We call her in our house. She who shall not be named can happily play a podcast for you. Google Assistant does the same thing. And all you have to do is ask them. So there are some other things. Spotify, if you're a music fan, Spotify has podcasts too. But I find that anything I want literally comes on my podcast app in my Apple iPhone. Or I Google it, enter the name of the podcast I want to listen to, and you can usually listen live right at your computer and not even have to have an app installed. Google is your friend. Yes. Most of them are available on their websites. It's so easy. But there are some separate apps called Pocket Cast, Castbox, Spotify. All of those can be done. But quite honestly, the easiest way is to do it off your phone or Google it and play them on your computer while you're sitting there. Anybody have any questions about that? So far, so good. All right. So why should I be listening to them? First of all, 99% of them are free. I don't know about you guys, but I am cheap as the day is long. I do not want to pay for entertainment. I do not want to order movies I have to pay for. I will go listen to some pretty crazy things or watch some pretty stupid movies because they're free. I just don't want to pay for it. And this is free entertainment. The thing about this that I forgot to mention is that most TV shows will have their own podcast. So if you have cut the cord with cable, or you live out in the country where cable is not necessarily an option and all you have is the dish, almost every single TV show out there has a podcast. Right. And it will be the highlights of what they've done. So, you know, like this morning, CBS News this morning, I listened to that in the morning. And I don't actually listen to that on cable. I listen to that on YouTube TV, which we'll talk about in a minute. But they have a 10-minute podcast, which gives you the 10-minute highlights of the biggest stories they're going to talk about and kind of a 2-sentence synopsis on each one. And I find that that is really handy if you're in a hurry or you don't want to watch all of the other fluffy stuff they put in between. You just want to hear the highlights of the news. You can listen to that on your their little podcasts are easy. The one that I love the most is NBC has a podcast all about Saturday Night Live. I love Saturday Night Live. I cannot stay up that late. I just can't do it. I am too old for Saturday Night Live. But they have a podcast where they will play like the highlights. You get the little bitty clips and you're so happy because you can watch the fun clips and you're in the know. Your friends will ask you like, oh, did you see that? yeah, I did. No, I didn't have to stay up that late. So you might learn something new. Podcast genres we're going to talk about next are huge. You might learn a ton of things new and something about food or sports or, something. You are going to have a pandemic boredom breaker. And I say this because I listen to podcasts. My friends listen to different podcasts. And we're always comparing like, well, what are you listening to now? So if you're sick and tired of, you've been through your section of podcasts, and you just can't come up with a new one, ask your friends. They might have the boredom breaker for you there. That is a new podcast. Here's probably the most important reason you should be listening to podcasts. The brain loves new things. It loves novelty. Learning something new keeps you, will help you live longer and keep you younger. So every time you do that, and every time you learn something new, guess what? No neural pathways are formed. You are about to get smarter. You have new things happening in your brain and all of that. So it makes your brain better. So listening to podcasts while you exercise. This is my little tip for healthy work, healthy movement. Find a podcast you really like and then start listening to it while you walk or exercise, because you'll want to go back the next day to listen to the next episode, and it forces you to exercise. I have a friend who did 55 Ks last year. Gail knows who she is. And I helped her with them, only I walked and she ran. And I had these great podcasts lined up, like ready, so that I knew that I was ready to go do the exercise with her, because I was excited about what I was going to listen to, not what I was going to exercise for, because I'm not very big on exercise. I do it, but I don't really like it. Podcasts got me there. Okay. So the genres, there are a ton. Everything from comedy, culture, games, music, celebrities, if you're into celebrities, sports, interviews, fiction. There's some really good fiction ones out there I really like. Food, informational, just teaching you anything you ever wanted to know about a subject, like, how to build a deck. There's a podcast on that. News, politics, history, true crime, skipping miscellaneous because that you get the idea. Science and business. Oh, I got true crime on there twice. Sorry. You name it, there's a podcast for that. And there is actually one, quite a few on religion and Bible things. So Bible verses and things, just for my friend Marcia. So here's what Time Magazine says is really happening right now. These are the biggies. So I'm going to kind of go through these in order and give you a little blurb about them. I am not promoting any of these except for there will be two I will promote that I have personally listened to. These are just what Time Magazine says is happening. This will make you in the know right now. So the argument is actually done by the New York Times. And you would think this would be, the New York Times is a little slanted. This is literally 3 opinion columnists, and they get there and they discuss one topic, usually something political or something related that way. And they argue it from all sides. So it's not just, Amy's the right wing and this one's the left wing. They each take a different turn arguing from a different side. And it's really interesting. It reminds me almost of like high school debates when you had to prepare something to argue. And they do their work. They prepare, they do. It is really interesting. I've only listened to a few of them, but their stances you'll either love them or you're going to be totally infuriated. Either way, if you're exercising, you're going to work like crazy if you're really mad. That's what I can say about that. But you will definitely learn how the other side thinks. So 1619 is over here. And by the way, I put these pictures here for you. I hope you can see them because when you go to pull up or search for a podcast, you'll get these little pictures and you'll know that this is the one you want. So 1619 was a project, again, of the New York Times, started last year because that was the 400th anniversary of a slave ship landing in the Americas. And this was kind of an add-on to their actual documentary they were doing. And so they turned it into a podcast, and it tells the story through narrative, archival audio, and essay-like observations. So they are literally kind of doing a documentary via podcast. There are some really wild, fun things to learn about America and slaves and what happened. I mean, there's one called The Birth of American Music, and it is about the yacht rock. Do you know what yacht rock is? Anybody?
No.
Okay. Yacht rock is like the music of the 70s. It is the 70s and 80s, that kind of happy little music. And he talks about how the yacht rock got its start in Black American music. Now, I don't know how he connected those. I didn't listen to the whole thing because I had to get off. I was going to listen to it today and tell you exactly what happened, but I'm going to go back and listen to that one. It's called The Birth of American Music. Crazy fun. The next one, Dolly Parton's America. Now, my girlfriend, this is a girlfriend one, who said to me, you have got to listen to Dolly Parton's America. This is a girl that I am pretty sure didn't even know who Dolly Parton was before this was started, and is not a country music fan at all. But Dolly Parton happens to be one of the most prolific songwriters in American history. You would not believe the things she wrote about. And when she wrote about them, they were very, very controversial. So she's a country legend. She wrote about everything from her band. The topics were banned at the time, like pregnancy and domestic abuse. She wrote entire best sellers based on that. And she talks about how her music lifted up a generation of women to be able to talk about domestic violence out loud and be able to do something about domestic violence. So it's really interesting. And then you get to hear the story of I Will Always Love You. And that is, you're just going to have to listen to that one. That's a really good story. So Dolly Parton's America. True crime. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Yeah. That is what this one is. It's called The Clearing. And this is a podcast about a daughter who suddenly realizes her father is a serial killer. And she has to turn him in to the police. And this is the story of how she gets there and how she realizes what it is. And it is really interesting, told by a reporter who covered the story. This one's one of my favorites, The Sporkful. For full disclosure, I used to be a teacher. I was also a food service director, and the spork is near and dear to my heart. So that's why I like this one when I downloaded it. But this is all about, hosted by a James Beard award-winning chef, the #1 chef award you can win. And by the way, he does a great job with it. The first episode is an argument of which is better, a sit-down restaurant burger or a takeout burger. And they each argue why. I wasn't sure where I came out on the end of that one, but it was fun to listen to. There's tons of things about food and tons of things about trailblazers. So one more down here, the big one. If you are suffering from any COVID pandemic anxiety, cross this one off your list, because this one is about when is the earthquake going to take out California? And it is scientific, and it is hosted by one of the news reporters from KPCC in California. And it's science-based, and it is about how there's going to be a huge earthquake someday. And it frankly gave me too much anxiety to even listen to. But if you're a science buff, that's kind of a cool one. So I don't know if the rest of you heard, but I am in Michigan and Gail's in Michigan. We are repping the Michigan here. And this one right over here, NPR Believed, is one of the saddest stories to come out of Michigan State University that I've ever heard. And it is the story of Larry Nassar. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Larry Nassar, but he was a gymnastics, USA Gymnastics and MSU doctor who was convicted of sexual abuse of young women. And he was sentenced to 40 to 175 years in prison for the amount of sexual abuse that he did. It's just shocking. This is done by our local NPR reporters, and it is called Believed, and why Larry Nassar was so believed and why nobody believed the kids till it was very, very late. And they do an excellent job with it. It's a little graphic, just so you know, but that is another one that I exercised like crazy to, because I just had to hear the next episode. It was shocking. And how he got away with it. It is now a Peabody Award winner as well. So they did a great job with that one. We're almost done. Left, right, and center is very similar to the argument, but they literally have someone on the left and someone on the right and someone on the center when they discuss and argue. If you're kind of a news junkie, this is good to help you sort of weed out what is true and what isn't and what is fake news, and they talk about all of that as well. Just one of those news junkie kind of fun ones. The Dropout. This one goes back a little bit, and I don't know if you all remember Theranos. And Theranos was going to be a blood test. You were going to have one drop of blood and be able to tell everything that was wrong with you, and you're going to go to Walgreens and you were going to get this. And Elizabeth Holmes started Theranos. Yeah. Okay, yeah. This one is, have you listened to this, Norm?
No, but I heard the story.
Okay, this one is great. It tells her story from beginning to end, including bizarre things, like she decided to start dressing like Steve Jobs of Apple and made her voice sound like Steve Jobs because she thought that they gave her a little more credibility. but it is really, she goes on trial this summer, late this summer. They may have put her off because of COVID. She was,
No,
but
she is. Okay.
yeah, really, really scary.
So, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just another one you think, how did she get away with that?
Yeah, it's amazing. I really don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And podcasts are a great exploration for that because you can do one chapter at a time. And then The Gladiator, this is the sports one. And I don't know if you guys remember Aaron Hernandez, football player. And he was arrested and he subsequently committed suicide. And then they found out that he had all of the brain effects from playing football. And he started that whole investigation into, well, is football safe or isn't football safe, right? Yeah. And that one's a good one. And it also does not paint, in case you're wondering, the NFL in a very good light in that one. So if you're a big fan of the NFL, or if you work for them, I'm sorry, it's not the thing. All right, so we're gonna skip through that. Almost done, because then I want to hear from you. But here's some of my favorites. The Daily from the New York Times takes one subject and they cover it in depth every day. And it's what happened the day before. And right now in this news cycle, it's very, like, it changes daily. It used to be when there wasn't much, the Daily would kind of concentrate on something for a couple of days. Not so much anymore.
But it's so depressing sometimes to listen to it.
It is.
After right. You listen to this, you say, oh my God, the world's coming to an end.
Exactly. Yes. Again, if you have COVID anxiety or pandemic anything,
don't listen to
be the one to listen to. The one right next to it is, this comes with a caveat. It's called My Favorite Murder, and it's two young ladies who discuss murder, and they all talk about a murder. They pick one, and okay, today's my day, and then tomorrow's the other one's day. They are young ladies with big potty mouths. Like, I don't know how to put it otherwise, but they do a lot of cussing and swearing. However, they always talk in-depth details about these murder. This is my kid's favorite podcast. I wouldn't play it out loud if you have anybody around, but if you got some iPods, you want to listen to it, nobody's going to judge you, right? So, but out loud, not so good. Noble Blood. Noble Blood is just one of those esoteric ones that I found, and every single episode is like a little bit of a blip in time from some noble person, back in the 1600s, 1700s, and it's always the story of one silly thing, like when this one right before Anne Boleyn got beheaded. That story's in there. There are just little vignettes, I guess, and the stories are so fascinating. Marie Antoinette, and then there'll be like some Polish princess. I mean, everyone is a little bit different, and they're really cool, and they always have a little controversy related to them, and the story is just great. I Spy. So I have this thing. I love spy novels. I love spy books. I just can't help it. I'm a James Bond fanatic. And this is the true story of CIA. So each one is a different CIA officer telling one horrible day, usually in their life, as to how things went wrong, or one story of how an asset went south, or how they had to evacuate from Venezuela. And it's always a different person, and it's always really interesting. And it's hosted by Margot Robbie. She's an actress, and I just love her voice. Her voice just makes me feel very happy. So that's another thing about podcasts. If you like to hear people's voices, that might be soothing to you. If you don't like her voice, she's probably going to irritate you. But I Spy is great. Slow Burn. This is the first season of Slow Burn, and I put this here because this is what got me hooked on Slow Burn. Slow Burn is made by Slate Broadcasting, and the first season is the story of Watergate. And it's about Martha Mitchell is the first episode. And Martha Mitchell decides she's going to tattle and tell about Watergate, and all the things they did to shut her up are incredible. These are all research. They are all very true. And you will drop your jaw at the first episode. And then, all right, now I got to listen to the second one. So the whole first season is about Watergate and how it ends. The second season is about the Clintons, and doesn't portray a very good picture of the Clintons. The third season, they got a little into Youngs, and it's about Tupac, the rapper. And now the fourth season is about David Duke. And I'm struggling with the fourth season. I can't listen to it because it just gives me the creeps. I just think the guy it just gives me the creeps. So, but I got through 3, but the first one's still my favorite. And last but not least, again, we're repping Michigan here. Armchair Expert is with the actor Dax Shepard. He's from Michigan. Kristen Bell is from Michigan too, just in case you didn't know. Great actors. And he has a degree in anthropology and has been sober for 10 years. So he kind of takes these actors and brings them on and then delves into their lives a little bit about what kind of problem you got. Maybe you should quit drinking, or maybe, he really gets into their lives a little bit. And by the way, he is hysterical. Like, he is so funny. So it's a good touchy-feely, all of the feelings. You laugh, you want to cry with them. And he just does a great job. So those are my favorites. Now I want to know what you're listening to. So if anybody wants to talk, feel free to unmute and tell me about your podcast. If you have any that you want to tell me about.
Well, I like the interview podcast with the actor Baldwin. You know Baldwin, the actor?
It just went out of my head.
He has a podcast every couple of weeks, and he interviews not only actors, but all, those who are involved with sort of science. They could be involved with art. They could be involved with all the, and he's very, very good. He asks the right things, and he's in depth. Some of these podcasts, mind you, if you can't sleep at night, some of these podcasts are so boring that you turn them on and you fall asleep.
There's that, yes. There are some meditation podcasts as well that will walk you through guided meditation, and that will put you to sleep too, in my opinion. But
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Norm. Anybody else listening to anything?
This is Gail. I am so glad to hear about all the different podcasts. The only one that I have listened to is Michigan Association of Counties. They had a podcast, but it was already on the website, so I just clicked on it. But I don't know how to go about getting a podcast unless you Google and say, I Spied podcast, and then it gives you a link.
Yep, it literally is, you just press play right on their website. I know all the I Spies were on there last I looked because I would listen to them here. You just Google I Spy, and then you go to their website, and it's hosted by slate.com. And then they'll have all the episodes, and you just press play.
You also have a site. It's on my iPhone. If you wait a minute, I'll go grab it on my iPhone. It's called Pod, I think. It's an app. And you download this app, and they got all the podcasts on that little app. I forgot what it was called. Yeah, just hold on a minute now. Yeah.
Very good. As far as making, go ahead, Christina.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to share for everyone that I think Oprah's Soul Sunday podcast is amazing. So I would recommend it to anyone, any age group. And that's something that is informative, relaxes you, and just makes you feel good after that. So I would recommend that. And I use Spotify. I don't know if people know that app on this call, but if you can download it on your phone, that's an easy way to listen to it. Otherwise, you can also get it on your computer. So that's my recommendation.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, Spotify is a great app. And it used to be Spotify was giving away free Hulu memberships or something with it when you signed up as a student, because that's when my kids signed up. So
yeah, but it's still free. It's still free. You sometimes have to listen to adverts, but they're bearable. So still free for everyone.
Okay, here you go. The thing is called Podbean, Podbean. You download the app, and on Podbean, they give you all of these type of podcasts. They have them, the news bot, you know, and the fandom, and they're all on here. Podbean.
Podbean. All right. And I'm going to put Spotify in there too. So in the chat,
Yeah.
so you all will know.
This Spotify, you can get it. Spotify is free if you don't want to download or you don't want to have it offline. So Spotify is free. So if you're just doing it and you don't download it, that's fine. But if you want to download and save, or you want to, you know, offline, then they charge you for it.
Yeah, again, I'm cheap, so
Yeah, well, that's it.
I let my kids do the and then I just log into theirs.
Sort of an indirect way, which I won't explain how.
Oprah's is called Soul Sunday, and I'll put that in there too, so you guys have it. I have all your, I can't type though, you get the idea. I have all your email addresses, so I will send the link to the article that I pulled all of those the top ones from, because there were 50 podcasts in there that were the top 50 right now from Time Magazine, but Time does not permit us to go through 50 podcasts, nor does it permit me to listen to 50 podcasts to give you any kind of recommendation as to what it is. So let's just, before we get, unless anybody else wants to share. Does anybody else want to share? I'm sorry. Therese, did you want to share?
Now, any of the TV programs that you want to watch at night is on this Podbean, for instance, where you can also, like NPR Fresh Air, for example. And they have that on here also. All the, you know, all of those broadcasts are on here.
And that was one of the top interview. Terry Gross is the interviewee that's on there for Fresh Air interviewer. And she is one of the top interviewers in the US. And so all of her stuff is on there. And those are really interesting. If my only complaint with Terry Gross is she has a lot of questions. She doesn't stop and let them answer. But I want her to take a breath, and I want to hear from them more than her. But that is another good one. I was going to tell you guys about YouTube TV. So we cut the cable. We have decided that TV wasn't really working for us the way we wanted it, and we weren't using it. So we cut the cable and we signed up for YouTube TV. And I have a smart TV, so I just click the app and turn it on, and then I can watch everything live that's happening on most of the channels. And I think it's $50 a month. Maybe not. No, it can't be that much because I'm super cheap. It's got to be less than that. My husband pays for it. But it is an interesting way. And with that comes, you know, of course, your YouTube subscriptions are free and that kind of thing. But it is an interesting way to watch local TV if you're really sure you need local TV and your local TV doesn't have an app or doesn't have a podcast to tell you what's happening. I have apps for both my local TVs too. I'm kind of a news junkie, so I do that as well.
Could you hear me, Amy?
I'm sorry, I couldn't. Hi, Therese.
Yeah, could you hear me?
I could not. Now I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to let you know I haven't done any podcasts.
Oh,
I wanted to answer you, but I couldn't get my thing working again.
It's tricky some days because our corporate setting mutes everybody upon entry, and that's kind of a Zoom thing. So that's why you have to unmute yourself. Sorry.
Okay, but you could hear me now then?
I can hear you now. Coming through great.
Good deal.
All
Thanks.
right, so
you were freezing up sometimes on my screen.
Oh, how's your internet?
I think it's okay.
The other thing is, are you connected to a VPN, a virtual network, by chance?
I'm not sure what that means.
Okay, then probably not. Good.
I've got Bluetooth. I got Bluetooth on and Wi-Fi.
Okay. What are you using the Bluetooth for?
I don't know. I thought I had to have it on.
Nope. Only if you're using a Bluetooth device like earbuds or an external speaker. That's the only time you really need to have your Bluetooth on. or if you're running your
Okay.
phone through it. So sometimes that'll help save you a little bit of bandwidth when you turn off some of that stuff.
Oh, good deal. Thank you.
No. Yeah, and by the way, I am no tech expert. These are all lessons I have learned the hard way. Just so you know, like a lot of lessons
Okay.
I learned the hard way. So yes, all of these podcasts that I talked about are free. And if you are looking for, again, free entertainment, remember I'm the cheap one. I would not give you anything that wasn't free. And I am slightly familiar with the Fire Stick. My children use that at college.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah,
Yeah, they love it.
yeah, it has it. In fact, all of these podcasts are on there as well.
And you can listen to them while you get ready in the morning.
Yep, yep.
Mhm. Or before you go to bed, if you need to go to sleep. And yes, and again, with those genres, there's meditation, there's just spiritualness, there's just a whole bunch. All you need to do when you get into your podcast, if you're going to download them on your phone, when you open up your podcasts, right here at the bottom, let's see if I can get it to do it. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute because really we're pretty well done. So you can see this bigger. There we go. All right, right at the bottom is a little search. All you're going to do is tap that search and type in at the top what you want to search for. So we'll pick spirituality.
Amy?
And then I've gotten like all of these. So it'll start pulling them up and you just kind of scroll over and see how many there are. And when you do that, all you want to do is we'll click on one here. And I clicked on Essential Conversations with Rabbi Rami. And then it gives you a little blurb. Join Rabbi Rami, that is hard to say, every Friday as he interviews spiritual teachers, health experts, authors, and more. And
Can you go back, Amy?
I'm sorry?
Can you go back, please, to what you had originally?
Yep. All right. So let me go back to home. I'll go back to my library so you can see what I have in here. All right. So when I open it up, this is what will show up. These are some of my podcasts. I have a whole bunch, but see what I mean? I got a whole bunch. At the bottom corner is, this is on an iPhone, so it could be a little different on a Samsung, but there's always a search button. And you'll click that little search button, and at the top, there's a little box. Now I had spirituality in there, so it'll look like that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and then you search for whatever floats your boat.
Thank you. I have to leave, but thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. And then you just type in what you want. And once you find one that you think, oh, okay, I might want to listen to that, you're going to need to subscribe. And if you subscribe, automatically, if you want to listen to it, I take that back. You don't have to subscribe to listen to it. You can just listen. Just go down to the episode and press the plus button, and now it says I have that episode and I can play it. If you want to subscribe, automatically all the episodes that it updates with will come to your phone or your device. You can do this on an iPad too, by the way, it looks the same. And every week or whenever, you will get the newest and the greatest of whatever the latest podcast episode. Because they're episodes, they're just like episodes in TV. So it would be like subscribing to a TV program, and then you'd be good to go. You'd have all the next one. So does that make sense to everybody?
The only thing is if you keep on downloading and you don't listen to them, they pile up and take up a lot of room on your iPad, on your iPhone, and then you have to clean it out because they tell you have no more room on your iPhone and iPad.
Yeah. Then you have to start deleting them when you're done.
Yeah.
Which is fair. You got to do it. It's like pictures. I hoard those too. So I actually buy more. There we go. So will it use up a lot of battery life on your phone? Yeah, it will.
Yep.
Audio and video files are the most prolific battery suckers out there. If you zoom on your phone, you're going to find that your battery goes right on down. You might as well just plug it in. Yes, you can save them to the cloud. All that stuff can be saved to the cloud, just like you would save. And I really, really encourage you to save anything you want to save for a while to the cloud, not to your device, because all you need is your device stolen and you haven't backed up your device. And guess what? It's all gone.
God.
It's 3 o'clock. I talk too much. I'm sorry. You can tell I like to talk, huh? All right. So if you guys have any questions or you want to talk about any podcasts or whatever, feel free to just respond to my email, and we will make sure that, you know, I'll get in touch with you, and maybe I'll see you at the app one, because that one will be fun too. So,
Okay.
I'm going to end our recording.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. You